Welcome to the Panic Button, everyone. I'm Nina.
I'm so cold. She is so hot. Holy crap, dude. How are you today?
Are you asking me or them?
Yes.
Okay. This gay guy is going viral. His name is Rigo Starr on X. And
Like Ringo Starr?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
He's going viral for speaking out against the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
So we're going to watch his video and see what he has to say.
It's a 5-minute video.
I know.
You might not like the truth, but I'll never tell a lie. If you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, this post is probably not gonna sit well with you, but it needs to be said, and it needs to be said by someone like me. Because we spent the past 5 years building an entire culture around denial, and I'm done pretending. I'm gay, but I do not live my life through that label. I am not defined by it. I don't expect to be applauded for it. I don't wear it as a shield to avoid criticism. And I don't wear it as a costume. Facts, science, and reality have been forced to kneel to people's feelings. We now live in an era where we're forced to participate in someone else's delusion. And if you don't, you're labeled hateful. We're told that pronouns are sacred, language must be rewritten, and the truth must be denied, all to validate someone's internal monologue. Cynthia Erivo says they, them are people who are simply more. Yes, ho, I agree. More fucking obnoxious than the rest of us, 100%. And if we don't comply, we're punished, we're silenced, we're even fired from our fucking jobs. And this is coming from the people who say they're the most tolerant. That's not compassion, ho. That's coercion. And now we're being told that the truth is offensive. If someone feels like a woman, that we all have to affirm it. When did science become offensive? When did objective reality turn into hate speech? Let's be real fucking honest right now. If you have to put the word trans in front of women, you're the one admitting that it's not the same thing. If you have to take synthetic hormones and get surgeries done to appropriate the opposite sex, oh, you're not transitioning, you're imitating. I know, the truth.
My feelings.
Biological sex is not a costume, and it cannot be rebranded into feeling. It doesn't matter how many of you or how many companies try to repeat a lie, repetition does not make something true. The community used to fight for freedom. Now it fights to silence anyone who doesn't follow their script. Even its own members. Yeah, that's not community, that's called a cult. Oh yes, bitch. They're trying to tell us that this movement is about inclusion. However, it's coming at the expense of biological women. Real women. Not that cis bullshit that you try to shove down our throats. Women. Period. Girls are being forced to compete against biological boys. Little gay boys running around thinking that they're girls. These are sports that girls have been trained their whole lives, right, to compete in. And then these little gay boys just, I'm a girl now, so I'm gonna compete. These girls are getting their scholarships taken away. They're getting their future.
So he's getting messages online of people telling him to pretty much be nice.
No, I agree with everything he said, and I like the attitude. I don't know. I like it spicy. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit brown, but sorry, I couldn't help myself. I don't disagree with the thing he said, and to say that trans women aren't imitating women is wrong in every angle. Even they have to admit that they're trying to imitate what a woman is.
Isn't that the whole point of being trans? Mm-hmm. Trans woman.
And yeah, and it's taking over women's spaces because you want to give them women's spaces. Not us, but they want to.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's getting a lot of hateful things being said, but so far I don't think he's said anything that's super controversial in my opinion. Maybe if you're on the community side, but from my perspective, he's right.
You know what I think it is? I think people don't like his tone. I mean, they don't like the words, but I think it's the tone. Because he's coming off as a sassy, no-holds-barred gay man, which is what I'm used to and what I've known and appreciated for not only its honesty, but it's funny. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people who are in the LGBTQ, for the most part, I don't think a lot of them know what funny is anymore, or they can't take a sassy gay because now like gays and lesbians have to tiptoe around everything and everybody, and you gotta watch what you say and how you act.
I don't think they're also used to being handled like adults. I think they're used to being treated with kid gloves.
Yeah.
Being catered to all the time. And so when it comes to like, you're gay, you must have been through something bad. That used to be how it was, right? Now they're like, you're gay, you have to be nice to me because I'm gay. And it's like, nobody has to be nice to anyone. Gay, straight, child, adult, look at anything.
I know, it shouldn't matter.
Anything.
Well, yeah, but back in the day, when you came out, you had to really know who you were when you came out.
Well, because the consequences were greater.
Giant. You could get kicked out of your house, get blacklisted by your family.
Beat up at the least from a lot of people.
Uh-huh. But nowadays, it's like, it's pretty much like a gold card.
And these people have been accepted for the better half of their existence, especially if they're like closer to my age.
Yeah.
They haven't really known resistance to it, so
They think they do, though.
no,
They
like
say they do.
The thing is, you have the people like me who are raised in a relatively religious household and did have consequences.
There are some of you, but I think for the most part,
But I'd say that generally speaking,
Yeah.
most of them had no retaliation.
Exactly.
I was met with retaliation, and I was also in a very small town with very, very conservative religious parents.
yeah.
And so I had my own backlash, but I say all the time, the teachers didn't like it, my parents didn't like it, but the kids in the school couldn't give half a fuck. Like, it was more of the teachers that had the problem with it, my parents. So, they haven't really experienced the full hate and volatile actions that were against the community to begin with. So, just to be so nice to them, what justification do you have? When have you been through meanness to be like, be so nice to them?
You know what's funny? It seems like the people like you and I who had to deal with a whole
Consequences.
horrific crap for coming out.
Yeah.
We're the people who can take the backlash and can take the resistance. But
Because if we didn't, we'd be dead.
Exactly. But these people, they think they know what resistance is, and they have no idea, and yet they act like they've been persecuted like we have. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they're
Appropriating our stories.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly it. They have no idea. They don't have that experience. They just are pretending they do. They're appropriating.
They're putting on an act. I think that you need to be. No, you don't need to beat your kids. But I think that when you don't have an actual conflict, you make up conflict to feel like you have a fight, to feel like you have something negative weighing on you. I don't think that a lot of these people, I don't think they have the conflicts they believe that they're having.
To feel like they serve a purpose.
They feel like they're surviving.
Why? Why would if you have a lot of stuff and you don't really have to struggle that much, why would you want to feel like you're struggling?
They make these stories to feel like they're struggling to survive because to them, in
It
their
makes them
heads,
interesting?
they think life is so mundane that they'd rather be dead. They wouldn't actually rather be dead. They're just bored. So they make up this struggle to entertain them through their days. I'm telling you.
They're bored and boring.
Yes.
They're not interesting.
They're actually so uninterested in life that they hate their life and they think they'd rather be dead. But they're never going to try to kill themselves.
Right.
They will only sit there and say that they've struggled so hard and that they're surviving. That's why every day is so fucking crazy, because they're thriving, surviving after all this trauma that they believe happened to them.
But really, they're not struggling at all. They're just appropriating someone else struggling in order to get attention and feel like they're more interesting and have a dog in the fight.
They just want to be entertaining. Like, they want to be entertained with their own life.
They want to be liked.
They want to be entertained by their own life. They're bored.
Yeah.
Every day of their life is boring.
But they also want to be liked.
Yes.
That, like, the acceptance thing is like their obsession.
But not all of them are good at being liked, and that's the sad part to watch.
Well, attention, maybe just wanting attention. And
It's a vanity thing at that point.
Yeah, but how can you be so vain and yet so dull at the same time? Knowing yourself that you are boring and not interesting.
Because you don't know you're boring. You made up this backstory.
And you believe it in your head.
Yeah, of course you do. How else do you get up in the morning?
God. That is something else. Wow.
It's kind of like when you were in like middle school and like nothing really happened to you yet necessarily.
Yeah.
But you're like, life's so hard.
You're dramatic because you're a kid.
Yeah, it's like that, but they're adults. It's the same thing.
Oh my God.
I remember sitting there in the car in like middle school and being like, oh. Sorry. Oh, it's so rainy outside and sad music. And like,
It's like
life's so
you
hard.
pity yourself.
I'm 12. Yeah.
You feel so bad for yourself for no reason.
And then you put on the eyeliner and then you smudge it around and you're like, oh.
And then you take a fucking TikTok.
No, at that age, you're just taking a picture. You're not
You take a picture. Okay.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we didn't even need to go putting it online. You just took the picture and maybe because Instagram had just started, maybe you like edited it in Photoshop and you post it and you're like, oh, I'm so edgy.
With some like Kurt Cobain quote at the bottom. It's better to fade away than to burn out.
At that time, I think there was more emo.
It's better to burn out than fade away.
I think there was more emo stuff going on back then. So it was more like quotes about yourself and shit like that. But I don't know.
Oh my God.
It was weird when I was, 2012, 2013 was weird time. 2011, weird times. The internet was just covered with us children just doing whatever.
Just being fake emo.
Being weirdos.
And now they're adults.
But you know exactly what I'm talking about
I know.
because you were also like a kid in middle school, and you also had the moments where you're like, "Ugh, nobody understands me."
Yeah, we just listen to different music.
Yeah, it was like fucking 15 years apart. Of course, we're listening to different music. You're listening to the polka, and I'm listening to modern rock and roll.
I ain't listening to no polka. I was listening to Nine Inch Nails. What are you talking about?
I was being dramatic for entertainment, which is what we do often, just because it might seem like bullying. Was I ageist there? Polka.
Polka, polka, polka.
Taken away and their titles. We're told that we're supposed to clap for this bullshit. That we're supposed to cheer this on. And they're trying to tell us that this is progress. No, bitch. This is not progress. You know what it is? Pathetic. But it actually does make sense, doesn't it, right? The Democratic Party can't even define what a woman is. Isn't it so funny? They call themselves feminists, yet the women they're defending are men. Oh. And things with this party just get more disturbing. Now we're telling children that are probably confused, anxious, probably just little gay boys and little gay girls, that they're trapped in the wrong body. Try to give it a cute little name like gender affirming care. What is gender affirming care? Puberty blockers, synthetic hormones, double mastectomies on 15-year-old girls, castration, and genital
Neoconversion therapy. A little girl is a tomboy. She likes to play with boys' toys. Oh, the parent says, maybe you're a little boy. And next thing you know, you're converting your little girl who just grew up to be a lesbian adult into a straight man. What better way to convert the gays?
And they say we're being conversion therapists by saying don't trans your kids.
Pretty much leave your kids alone to grow up and be whoever they want to be.
When they can legally consent, then they can do what they want.
That's not conversion therapy.
No, when they can legally consent, they can do what they want. I'm saying don't touch kids. When they're of legal consenting age, then you can do whatever you want with kids, I guess, because they can consent to it.
Because they'll be adults.
They're not kids. It's crazy. It's how you have
mutilation on little boys. This is not healthcare. No. This is homophobic. Oh, yes it is. But y'all are too fucking dumb and have your heads so far up your asses that you can't see it. Instead of guiding these little kids into reality, we're tricking them into thinking that they're in the wrong body so that they get put on all this bullshit, and then the medical field has a customer for life. Not to mention the fact that they've already sterilized an entire generation. Let that shit sink in. Again, they have sterilized an entire generation. Yet, if anybody speaks up, whether you're a scientist, a doctor, or a gay man like me, oh, you're a bigot, you're a transphobe. Well, guess what, bitch? That shit don't work with me. No.
I always find this really funny that they'll call you names and think that they're actually hurting you, when really, because, like, I'm sure this dude as well, have been through the whole resistance, like, homophobia crap growing up. Because of that, those names don't mean anything anymore because we've heard it so much from actual, like, really bad people. So they think that they're doing something by calling us names, when really what it does is shows that they're jackasses who can't actually have an intellectual disagreement at all.
No, they can't. And at the end of the day, the problem people have is not with the adults who choose to consent to it.
Exactly.
It's with the children who have no say in it until they're 18. That's what, like, you don't even fully develop your brain until after 18. But still, like, if we're going to make everything else 18, wait till they can actually understand at least some of what they're doing. Give them therapy, give them counseling, make them have to go through a medical diagnosis to get a transition. It should not be so easy to get this done.
No. You know what, though? Before, there used to be guidelines and safeguarding. But when and who determined that we should stop doing that? When did
Whoever
that
started
start?
calling us transmedicalists, because we believe that medicine's involved to cause transition.
Do you think it was like the Democratic Party that just kind of went in and started peeling away the layers of barricades?
You know what I think it is? I think the whole, like, you're a transmedicalist, you piece of scum thing, I think that started from, and please, I mean, I'm only being slightly hyperbolic. I think most of it comes from men trying to be trans women who don't want to have any procedures done. So they say, you're just a transmedicalist, you want me to have surgeries to be seen as a woman. My penis is perfect as it is.
No, there's a difference between being a transsexual and having to go through the medical procedures because you have gender dysphoria, and someone that is dressing like a woman in order to exercise his paraphilia.
At some point, they said that the trans medicalists were bad. So people who believe that medical institutions should be involved in helping people transition, we were called bad for that. But I'd say I'm not even necessarily a TERF. I think I'm more of a trans medicalist at this point. What are you?
I'm thinking about it. I'm trans medicalist. Well, I think that trans is definitely something that's in your head, obviously.
And that it should be considered a medical procedure to deal with it. Yeah.
It needs to be explored more by the therapist, by like someone who isn't going to just affirm, but actually is going to peel back the layers and try to figure out like what's actually going on in order to actually make a legitimate decision about transition, if they should transition later on in life or not, if we're talking about children. You know what I mean? But transitioning as a child, getting on hormones and all that stuff, I think it's an absolutely terrible idea.
I agree.
Oh, you can't cancel me. You can't cancel the motherfucking truth. You can't. I motherfucking check. The LGBTQ mafia does not pay my motherfucking bills. No, it doesn't. This has become less about who you are and more about staying on script. If you don't chant their slogans, if you don't use their pronouns, if you dare to ask questions, you're out. That's not community, bitch. That's called control. It's your reality check, okay? You can change your name. You can change your clothes. You can even change your pronouns. You will never be able to change your chromosomes. No. You will never be able to override biology. And you will never be greater than God. And if that truth offends you, the problem isn't with the truth. The problem is with the lie that you've built your life around. Hate to break it to you. But now I want to hear from you guys. If you found a lie in this post, please let me know down below. And as always, love you guys. Peace.
So what do you think?
I mean, I'm glad he's getting attention for it because I think he's pretty based.
Yeah, he's pretty based.
He didn't say anything like mean. He's just simply saying facts, and he's right. So get with it, motherfuckers.
It's brutal honesty at its finest.
I'm down with it.
I mean, how many times do you have to say it?
Apparently 8 billion more times. How many videos have we done? That many more times, and maybe they'll start listening.
I don't think they'll ever start listening. I think they'll just fade into obscurity.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, where else are they gonna go?
Well, or what they'll do is they'll find another thing to
Latch
cling
onto.
onto. Yeah, and go that way.
I can only hope that people see that we don't do or say the things that we do to talk out against just like regular people trying to live their lives. We call out people who are predators in the community of the LGBTQ, just like he's calling out people who are predators in the community of the LGBTQ. And that's not saying that you're a predator towards individuals, but you're a predator towards the rights and the access that people should be allowed to have, such as transitioning if you truly do have gender dysphoria. And yes, I don't think it should be the hardest thing in the world to necessarily figure it out. You shouldn't have to have a bunch of barriers around it, but you should have to have barriers around the actual transitioning part. To figuring it out, no, have every avenue possible, but to actually getting to transition, you should be thoroughly examined to make sure that is the best choice for you in life. And I don't know why anyone thinks that this is irrational. I don't know why anyone thinks that we're being mean or irrational by saying this. People like Lily Tino are fucking crazy crazy and talking about their genitals in front of children.
We're speaking against people who are trying to control other people. People who
Yes.
are trying to dominate the conversation and dominate the entirety of the quote-unquote community and not allowing others to speak or have any opinions or questions, and instead just abide and follow. And that is like a cult.
Let me dismiss your concerns and tell you that you have to listen. If you disagree, you are not included. And that's not true, because at the end of the day, the LGB was founded on sexuality and nothing to do with the T part or your gender identity. That's why you don't see the G representing gender. It's for gays. And so that's what I think is the most confusing part of the whole thing.
Well, because our sexuality has to do with sex, the sex of the person. And then when the T comes in, it involves gender ideology, which cancels out gays and lesbians. So it doesn't even, it's actually kind of, the messaging is very homophobic if you think about it.
Especially when you continue to dismiss voices from the L's to G's and the B's.
Yeah.
And only pick up the voices of the T's.
Now, I'm not saying that transsexuals are homophobic. I'm saying the gender ideology behind this whole transgender thing is very homophobic. And that's why we
It
have
can
to speak
be.
out against it. Yeah.
I don't think everyone is homophobic, but I think there's a lot of components to transitioning, especially if you're a homosexual transgender individual. There's a lot of
Transgender and transsexual different. Transgender you could just identify into.
if you're a homosexual who is transsexual, there's a lot more of a misogynistic viewpoint that a lot of people could say you're coming from, because you're trying to correct your homosexuality and make it viewed as straight.
Yeah. But also, when you add the T's, which includes transgender and the gender ideology, then you're pretty much saying that lesbians have to accept men who identify as lesbians into their dating pool.
Well, they didn't have to say that, but they started saying that, and that's the problem.
Because that's what gender ideology teaches.
Because we were really cool with them, like, just saying, like, oh, I'm trans and I like this or whatever, but now they're over here just, like, trying to invade spaces and trying to make us go on dates with them.
And then going on to lesbian dating sites saying they're lesbian, and lesbians, when they say that they don't want to date men, they get kicked off the dating site.
Yep, it's crazy, isn't it? What a crazy world.
It is a crazy world. What do you guys think?
What do
What's
you
your
want
opinion?
What do you want to see happen to the LGBT community?
Dissolve completely? Splinter off? We'd like to know.
It's the question.
Like and subscribe. Join our memberships. Comment below. Hit the bell. We'll see you next time.